Maggie celebrates Ayyam-i-Ha. Very late in the afternoon of the 25th day of February, Maggie hurried down the stairs, put on her coat, and slipped out the back door. She ran down the street to the neighborhood park and headed toward the highest hill. Quickly, she climbed to the top. From the smallest pocket in her pants, Maggie took out the compass her grandfather had given her and carefully lined up the needle to N for north, then saw which way was W for west, faced the sun, and waited. Soon it began. On the horizon, colors collided. Reds, yellows, purples, and oranges. The sun was setting. First a shine, then a glow and a glimmer, then a few solitary rays. When Maggie was sure that the sun had set, she threw back her head, raised her arms, and cried, "My God, my fire, and my light, the days which thou hast named the Ayyam-i-Ha in thy book have begun." And then Maggie did the dance of jubilation. That is how Maggie welcomed the first day of Ayyam-i-Ha. In the afternoon of the second day of Ayyam-i-Ha, Maggie was in her room. She reached under her bed, pulled out her toolbox, and took out a small hammer. With a single blow, she broke open her papier-mâché piggy bank. Maggie counted out all the coins she had saved and put them into her pocket and headed for Mr. and Mrs. Olasky's grocery store. There, she purchased as much bird seed as her money could buy. Maggie placed the bird seed in her pocket and skipped back home. From her secret hiding place, beneath the porch, she uncovered a large pine cone, a long piece of string, and a jar of peanut butter, which she had collected. With the pine cone, string, and peanut butter, she made a bird feeder. When she was finished, she filled the bird feeder with her seeds, climbed the dogwood tree, and hung the feeder. Back on the ground, Maggie cupped her hands to her mouth and shouted, "Happy Ayyam-i-Ha!" On the third day of Ayyam-i-Ha, Maggie took the warm cookies she had just baked with her brother Freddie and carefully placed them in 3 colorful tins. She stuffed the tins into her large pockets, one on each side and one in the back. Because her pants were so baggy, Maggie had room for all 3 tins. With her hands free to pick up any interesting items she might find, Maggie headed for Buttercup Village. This is where her 2 best and oldest friends, Mr. Marshall and Mrs. O'Sullivan, lived. Maggie put 1 tin on Mr. Marshall's doorstep and 1 on Mrs. O'Sullivan's doorstep. Then she rang the doorbells and ran to hide in the bushes. From there, she watched Mr. Marshall and Mrs. O'Sullivan come out and look all around to see who had left the surprise on their doorstep. Finally, Mr. Marshall and Mrs. O'Sullivan picked up their tins, smiled at each other, and went inside. when she was sure that they wouldn't come out, Maggie reached into her pocket for her third tin. She pried it open and chose one cookie. Maggie smelled the heart-shaped cookie with red sugar sprinkles and whispered, "Happy Ayyam-i-Ha." On the morning of the fourth day of Ayyam-i-Ha, Maggie picked 4 flowers she had grown in the window of her room. On the stem of each flower, she tied a note with a piece of shiny blue ribbon. One flower went to her mother, and another to her father. These she delivered with a hug and a kiss. Their notes said, "Happy Ayyam-i-Ha, love, Maggie." She had a flower for her brother with a note that said, "Happy Ayyam-i-Ha, M." She gave it to him outside his bedroom. The last flower was for her teacher. This she brought to school. Her teacher's note said, "Happy Ayyam-i-Ha, Mrs. Morse. Respectfully, Margaret." At the end of the day, Maggie returned to the top of the hill in the park. There she sat, very still, once again waiting for the sun to set. These were the last moments of the last day of Ayyam-i-Ha. First, the sun, a glorious ball of purples and reds, was a brilliant glow. Then a shimmer, then a glimmer of a shimmer of a shine, then just a few solitary rays, which brought the magnificent curtain down. Maggie sat silently, watching Ayyam-i-Ha end. Then she thought about Nowruz!